Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my first ever video that I'll upload to my channel, and I just want to welcome all of you whoever is watching this video, and I encourage you to subscribe. You could be the first subscriber or the 10th. Just subscribe. We are going to get there. So my main aim of this channel is to share my story. It's a story of hope where I'd like to give people hope, to encourage someone who's going through maybe a similar situation that I went through, to show someone that there's nothing impossible before God. Just a brief introduction for those who don't know me. I'm Winnie, and I'm a breast cancer survivor and a warrior. I survived cancer stage 3 of cancer, which was diagnosed. It was diagnosed at stage 3, and I did survive. So that's my main motivation to do this, because during that time, there are people who worked with me. I got motivation from people who've gone through this. I really remember that when I was told I have cancer, I really went into looking to get hope, to know if people have ever survived this, to know that what did people do. So all those things, they helped me one way or another to at least be able to go through that journey. So today, I'm just going to give a brief introduction of myself, what I went through, how I came out, and even share some Bible verses that were able to take me through during that time. And just I'm hoping that this is going to encourage someone, not necessarily going through breast cancer. It could be something else that's not breast cancer. It could be hypertension, it could be diabetes, it could be just any terminal illness that you've been told that you see you have this, and you feel like now you've come to the end of the road. You feel like now from here to the grave, these things are not a death sentence. There is hope. There is hope that you'll get healed. Have faith in God, and God will not let you. Now, I want to share from the book of Luke, chapter 22 and verse 31. And this is what Jesus told to Simon. Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you've turned back, strengthen your brothers. So we hear Jesus telling Simon that Satan has asked to sift all of them as wheat. Not Simon alone, but Satan. Let's underline all of you. Satan asked to sift all of them as wheat. And Jesus further says to Simon, but I have prayed for you, that your faith may not fail. And when you've turned back, strengthen your brothers. Now, these situations that we are going through, it's like we're being sifted. Satan has asked for permission to sift us. You could be going through cancer, you could be having hypertension, you could be going even through any challenge you're going through, especially health-wise. Satan might, you being sifted. And God says that he has prayed that our faith will not fail. And once we've been strengthened, once we've turned back, we strengthen our brothers. And that's what I want to do today, to strengthen my brothers and my sisters. Because I was sifted. I thank God my faith did not fail. Even if sometimes I fail, I felt like I'm at that point where my faith is going to fail me. But I thank God that His grace was sufficient. And I was able to go through the whole journey, chemotherapy, surgery, and I came out. And now I'm turning back so that I may strengthen you. I know sometimes I've had people asking this question more often than not, that where was God when I got cancer? If God is really taking care of us, why did he allow it to happen to us? Why did God allow Simon to be sifted as wheat? You know, sometimes we question why? Why me? Why did it happen to me? Even before it happens to you, God already knows. And sometimes God allows some things to happen to you so that he may glorify himself, not for anything else, for his own glory. And for him to be glorified, we have to go through situations in life. Sometimes we feel like, if really, really God loves me, why did he allow this? But God allowed it for his own glory. And it might be difficult. Sometimes even in our lives, we've really moved far from God. We really feel like we are like a whole package. You can do everything by our own. Sometimes God really needs to put us to that situation whereby we have to look at him again and say, God, I'm here. And sometimes it has to take being sifted as wheat. You know, when you talk of sifting it, they are put, I don't know what this thing is called, but in Swahili it's called sinia. You put in a sinia and it is shaken, thrown up again, shaking. That is now how we get sifted as wheat. And after all that, God says that he's going to pray for us. Jesus said that he's going to pray for us, that our faith is not going to fail us. And that is our assurance that Jesus will always be with us, that his grace will be sufficient. And when I say his grace is sufficient, I know what I'm talking about, because I went through that thing in a situation where I felt like at some point I wanted to even stop chemotherapy because I felt that my body couldn't take it anymore. But even in those situations, God brought people my way. People I've known in my life, but apparently I didn't know that they'd gone through cancer. People I've met, people I've seen, people even I've seen suffering from cancer, but I didn't know. But in that moment when I was giving up, when I felt like now, no, I can't take this anymore, God brought people in my way, and they encouraged me, and they gave me hope, and they told me, Winnie, this is doable. And I thank God that it really became possible. And I'm here today to testify of the goodness of the Lord in my life, to testify that God gave me a second lease of life. You know, I used to tell my friends that this is my furnace. You know, when a potter, and God is our potter, when he's creating pots, shapes them from the whole process of having the clay, even if he makes the best of the best pots, but he doesn't put them through the furnace, he doesn't put those pots to the fire, they won't hold, they are going to crack. Eventually they are going to crack and they are going to smash. So sometimes God allows some things in our lives so that he may bring out the best in us. He may make us realize that he may strengthen us and bring the best out of us. So if you are going through any situation, don't lose hope. It might be painful. It might be very tough for you financially, emotionally, and even spiritually. It can be draining. But remember that God is on the throne and is going to see you through your situation. So me, when I heard that I had cancer, the first thing that came into my mind was my children and my husband. And apparently it was the time the kids were at home. And even breaking the news for them was not an easy thing. I remember that it was really tough for us. And you know, they would see people coming home, people come pray with us, people come stay with us. We discuss things in ash tones so that the children cannot hear, but you know, they comprehend. So during this time, it was really difficult. But I remember I read Exodus 14 where it says that the battle is mine, just be still. And I really felt that that was my message, that this battle is not mine. What I need to do is just to be still and to allow God to do what he ought to do in my life. And I said, God, if it's necessary that I go through this process, that I go through chemotherapy, that I go through all that, through that pain, if you're going to allow it, God, give me the grace. And I remember I didn't like second guess. After I'd committed to God and told God that I want you to heal me, I prayed and told God, whatever doctors I'm going to, Father, I pray that you may go before me. My Father, that you will go and make sure that I don't miss my chemo because of finances. Make sure that I don't. So I was supposed to go. When I first started chemotherapy, my doctor had told me I'll be going every 2 weeks. But chances are, at some point, I'll have to go after every 3 weeks if my body is overwhelmed. But apparently, I wasn't overwhelmed. Until I finished my chemo, I went as it was scheduled. I went for every 2 weeks. And I can tell you, that was not by my strength. That was God. Because I remember when I went after the first chemo and the doctor looked at my results and he was like, Winnie, you're more healthy than I. When it came to my blood works, they were good. And after that, God made sure that I was always okay. Even despite the fact that I was in pain, my blood works were always okay. It allowed me to go after every 2 weeks. And I finished my chemotherapy, and God placed very wonderful doctors in my hands. Doctors who always reminded me the reason I have to live. My surgeon used to tell me, remember there are 4 kids and a husband looking at you. And I tell you, that one would always fire me up, and I would always wake up knowing that I have 4 kids and a husband who's looking up to me. And all this that happened in my life, it's for the glory of God. I believe that nothing takes God by surprise. We might feel like, oh, God has abandoned us. He has not abandoned you. He's going to walk with you. I remember a story used to be told that when there was this person who used to walk with God. And every time he was walking with God, he would see his footsteps and the footsteps of God. But when things became tough in his life, I guess, let's say he had sickness, he tried to look, he couldn't see a pair of footsteps. He only saw one pair of footsteps. And he asked God, did you leave me? Why is it that on the sand, I'm only seeing one footstep, one pair of footsteps? And when I was happy, I always see your footsteps beside me. What happened, God? And God told him, I did not leave you. During this difficult time, I've carried you in my hands. The footsteps you're seeing, they are mine. They are not your footsteps. And that is what is happening in our lives. Sometimes we may feel that it's very difficult, but God is carrying us in his arms. When you're going for that chemotherapy, when you're going for that treatment, God will always carry us in your hands, in his hands. I remember personally, people came up, they made sure that I had funds for my medication. For sure, I can say God opened doors for me. And for you also, remember that God is with you. Just trust in him. Trust in him. Even if it's difficult, even those days that you cannot pray. Because I tell you, it gets to a point that you even sit down and try to pray and you lack the words to talk to God. You don't know what to tell God. But in everything, remember that God is with you. I remember the way I used to make fun of my situation, because now, what was the choice I had apart from being happy? I remember a friend of mine called me the second day after now I'd gone for my first chemo, and I just couldn't take a walk. And I was really feeling weak. I was feeling like my body was an Afghan in its own way. So my friend calls me and she asked me, Winnie, how is your chemo? And I told her, how is chemo taking you? I told her, wow, I think the white blood cells, they've called a meeting in my body, and there's like, there's an intruder in the kingdom. Let's go and fight that intruder. You know, I could find fun even in that situation. Don't go for self-pity. Don't allow people to pity you. I know sometimes it might make you feel like now you're losing hope. Have hope. You know, sometimes when everything else is not working, have that faith in God. And you know, as faith is defined, that it's the hope in the things that we cannot see. Have hope. Have hope. You're not seeing healing, but have hope that you're going to be healed. You're not seeing finances, but have hope in God that is going to provide finances for your treatment. Hope is something that we should hold on when you're going through such circumstances. So I'm speaking to anyone who you're going through a situation, you feel like, I cannot take this. You feel like that this is my end. It's not your end. I remember my doctor telling me, this is not a death sentence, Winnie. You know, the moment I was told I had cancer, and from having lost both my parents to cancer, my uncle, my aunt, there was no positive story. One time it dawned to me, and I told God, God, Father, I'm from a different generation. Death with cancer ended with that other generation, the generation of my parents. We are not going to pass on this to this generation. And I really prayed to God, and I told God, heal me, Father, for your glory. Heal me, Father, so that the devil may be ashamed. And today I'm here to just encourage someone. Talk to someone who's going through similar situation. Talk to someone who is feeling like, I can't. I'm just telling you, you can. You can. God has given wisdom to the doctors. Don't refuse to take medication. Because sometimes we as Christians fail. You end up saying that you're a believer and you're not going to take medicine. God gave us wisdom. And if those doctors are practicing medicine, it's because God gave them that wisdom and he gave them that knowledge so that he may glorify himself through them. So don't refuse to take medication, because in any way, if you think that chemotherapy will kill you, cancer will also kill. So allow God to guide your steps. Allow God to help you overcome. Allow God to glorify himself through you. You know, there's no such a good thing to know that God wanted to glorify himself using you. Yes, it's painful, but the fact that God chose you, the fact that God made you that vessel so that he may glorify himself, is enough to walk in this journey. I'm not saying it's an easy journey. Neither am I saying it's a hard one. If only you allow God to walk with you in this journey. I'm telling you, my dear sister, my dear brother, that it's going to be well with your soul. Let me just read from the book of Deuteronomy. Then I will finish once I've shared. Deuteronomy 8, verses 2. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness for 40 years to humble and test you, in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you will keep his commands. Then I'm going to jump to 4. Your clothes did not wear out, and your feet did not swell during these 40 years. Now, this is Moses talking to the Israelites, reminding them that the Lord your God led them in the wilderness for 40 years. What was the reason for taking them for 40 years? He said it was to humble and test you in order to know what is in your heart, and whether or not you will keep his commands. Then lastly, in verse 4, he says, your clothes did not wear out and your feet did not swell during these 40 years. So even if God is going to take us through this situation, he's going to make sure that, yes, you're going to go through that test. He's going to humble us. He's going to know our hearts, to know what is in our hearts, and even to know if we can keep his commandments. But bottom line is that he told them, your clothes did not wear out and your feet did not swell during these 40 years. People have been walking around for 40 good years, but their feet and their clothes did not wear out, and their feet did not swell. So the same applies for us. It shall not harm us. You may go through that situation, but if God is with you, everything will be okay. God bless you. See you next time. Please remember to subscribe to my channel and like my videos. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.